Good evening and welcome to the Villa Park podcast, our Lions Raw match reaction show following Nottingham Forest 1, Aston Villa 1. And to join me to reflect on yesterday's frustrating, boring, these seem to be the same adjectives that we're using every single week at the moment, match from last night is Mr. KT AVFC Kevin. How are you today, mate? Obviously, we went to the match yesterday, I don't know if we were full of hope, but
no, we weren't.
Yeah,
full of
looking
hope.
forward to a potential win against bottom of the table at Nottingham Forest, but came away ultimately disappointed.
Well, for those that have seen the picture that we put on the Twitter site, but yeah, I think that summed up exactly how we felt there, basically. So yeah, it was a thoroughly depressing night again.
This picture.
Oh god, there's another one. I look slightly less weird in my face, but yeah. I mean, Sky Sports basically caught us, didn't they, in the action? What can we say, Rich? It's the same old now, and it feels like look, I'm trying. It feels like Groundhog Day. It feels like Groundhog Day. I mean, the only thing I'm keeping my hopes up for is at least England are playing brilliant as a national team, and and my other team, Ireland, I'm half Irish. They're oh no, I'm not at the World Cup, and England is shit. It's football's just rubbish, isn't it? At the moment, it's just rubbish. And when you look at Aston Villa as a club, and oh my god, do you know what I'm gonna say now? I said on the last podcast I was bored, and if we've got to go through this podcast again and start talking about all the problems with Aston Villa, I don't know what I'm going to do. I know that's kind of the point of the podcast, but to the same level of, we don't create any chances. We've been here before. We play against a team that have a bit of a low block and put a few men behind the ball. We can't unlock the key. Unlock the lock with it. We can't find the key to unlock it. We can't seem to win ugly. We can't seem to win glamorously. We just can't seem to win. And well, if we do win, it's look at the record at the moment. I mean, it is thoroughly depressing, mate. That's why I'm probably rambling as I am right now and making absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I mean, yeah, there's just nothing. It's just completely like Groundhog Day, and even watching it yesterday, and we'll get into parts of the game and all that in a second, and obviously keep your comments coming in. Gaza was was laughing when he saw us on the telly last night, and I think summed up the mood from everyone really. And yeah, it's just so hard, even being in the away ground and in the away end, and decent atmosphere that Nottingham Forest put up certainly for the first 20 minutes. We just can't really get up for any type of game. We just can't. It's like we were just watching this just hopeless, aimless, pedestrian football, and we'll get into one or two performances from players, but there's players out there that are just strolling about the pitch. There's players there that meant to be able to beat players that aren't beating players. There's players that are meant to be strikers that aren't shooting. There's just so much that's wrong at the moment with the team. It's so disjointed, and they just seem to be like running around trying to tackle people, but they're just not doing anything in terms of the attacking areas of the pitch. They're just not doing anything. Like as soon as they, well, yeah, let's talk. Let's get some structure going, because there's also lots of comments coming in. We'll get onto some other players and one or two slight positives, and then one or two particular players that should be getting quite a bit of criticism. But starting lineup wise, obviously, people be clamoring for Buendia. Got his start yesterday, maybe because Bailey picked up an injury. Bailey not on the bench, and we were reasonably happy with that starting lineup. I know yours before the game didn't include McGinn, Kev, but that's that starting lineup to be expected for yourself
from Gerrard. Well, with Bailey being injured, I think he was going to bring Buendia in, or he was going to play Ings up top with Watkins. I think they were the two options for him, because it feels like no one else is getting a look in, really. Archer's not getting a look in. Sanson's not getting a look in. I mean, I don't know what some of these players have to do to get a few more minutes, but anyway. So no, I wasn't surprised knowing how he's picked the team. My lineup I put through before was, I mean, probably was a little bit gung ho, but I feel like the big problem we've got is we're not looking like we're going to score. I'm sure you've got some stats to talk about in a minute, in terms of, our attacking stats, our XG, our shots on goal, all that kind of stuff. So I just thought you've kind of got to go for it a little bit. I tell you what I was thinking last night again, like I watched a lot of games. That game was crying out for Keenan Davis. And I don't mean Keenan Davis is the answer to the questions, as I say every bloody week, but a player who can hold the ball up top, who can give you a different option, people can build around. I think the player like that, players like Coutinho, Buendia, almost come into element. Watkins wasn't holding the ball up great. He had one of those nights again. And it just felt like every attack kept breaking down. And
sorry, mate, go on.
I was going to say, I think we're easy to play against, mate, aren't we? I mean, if you're playing against Villa, you're Steve Cooper, you think, stick a few players behind the ball. If they were in dreamland, think about as a Forest manager and a Forest fan, how Aston Villa are like, we can't score goals. We can't get any goals. They go 1-0 up against us. They're in dreamland. They know they're probably going to get at least a point. Dreamland.
Exactly. And so there's 2 points that brings up there. Like the first one is about that big striker, and we obviously talked about this at length yesterday. We've talked about it at length on various podcasts. Keenan Davis is not the answer to all of our problems at all, but and we actually joked last night, he could have played for both sides. He could have played for either side and been that focal point up front. But I can't understand that if that was the area we were crying out for, if they filled the gap with Kamara in terms of a combative, quite tall, strong-ish central defensive midfielder, then we all knew that we needed a focal point up top, like a bigger striker up top that was a different profile to what we got. How was the only option that we ever went for Ismaila Sarr?
Yeah, I mean,
surely there had to be other. Like if we're talking Johan Lang, if we're talking a scouting network, if we're talking short lists of players, how is that the only option that they came up with of a player that we could potentially sign?
Mate, I made that point in the podcast the other week. I mean, Villa are supposed to be a very, very forward-thinking, ambitious club. We've said we want to go for Europe. 14's not good enough. We want to kick on top 10 and above. We went into the market for Ismaila Sarr. It didn't work out for whatever reason you want to believe. Wage demands, character, player, falling out, whatever, right? Could you imagine going out to the shop to go and get a piece of beef for your Sunday dinner and then coming back from the shop with a 0 meat because there was no beef left? You get a punch in the face. Like if you're shopping in a market, you've got to buy anybody, but surely Aston Villa, with the kind of club that we are, the profile we've got, the global reach now, there were more options on that list. I mean, was the list literally just one Ismaila Sarr and then no number 2? That was it. And if you think about the players that we brought in, okay, fine, we brought then Donker in as a midfield, defensive-minded midfielder who hasn't played many minutes. Luiz has still been playing that role since obviously Kamara's gone out of the team. I don't think defence was ever really our issue. I know obviously Mings had his faults, but I think at the moment the defence is probably our strongest area. Bednarek, Mings, Chambers, Konza, we don't really look troubled at the back. And no one's dicked us this season. Even when we play against the big teams, Man City, Liverpool, we seem to actually not concede loads of goals. So the answer for bloody ages has been forward-thinking options. The only player that Gerrard spent any money on in forward roles is Coutinho. That's it. Jacob Ramsey's come through in attacking midfield positions and Archer's on the fringes. That's it. We've been crying out for it for ages. We've not been scoring goals for ages. And then you look at Newcastle with Gimaresh, with Alexander Isak, with Callum Wilson, obviously when he's one of the best strikers I think around when he's on form. They've got players that are looking like they can score a goal. They've got players, they're attacking players. And it's not just the strikers, by the way, because I do think there's a glaring issue in our team, which is also service to the strikers. And the two things combined is a horrible, horrible tonic to drink because our fullbacks do not deliver the ball well enough generally. Our midfielders do not. When was the last time we saw McGinn and Ramsey throw a pass through to someone for a goal?
Well, all we saw from McGinn was looping crosses that the goalkeeper would just like throw his hat on. And then a ridiculous attempt at a diving header when he should have just hit it with his left foot, which is meant to be good at. The other part I wanted to say around the low block as well and defending against that, if you haven't got that kind of big target man, is they're obviously giving you the ball in areas that are quite close to the goal. So why aren't we shooting from 20 to 25 yards out?
Some of them need shooting, mate. Some of them need shooting.
Yeah, like Coutinho. I think Tiwan's made the point, and I'll come on to this a little bit more. She made a really good comment about him. He was all over the pitch. He was busy, but did he actually do anything? He didn't have a shot. He didn't play a threatening pass. He didn't beat a man. Coutinho had that. He spent about 30 years lining up for a free kick and hit it into the wall. Louise is meant to have a good shot, didn't have a shot. McGinn's meant to have a good shot. If you're playing against a low block, you shoot from 20, 25 yards because you've got the space to do it. The goalkeeper might parry it. It might deflect it in off someone and go in the net. It might go for a corner. Leicester scored their first goal the other week when they beat Forest 4-0. It deflected off the defender and went in because he shot from 25 yards. What it then does, if you do shoot from that area, they've got to come out and try and tackle you, which then means, like, it's not rocket science, but it means that you might be able to thread a pass into one of the attackers who then might be able to be through on goal. Why aren't we shooting from distance? I don't understand it.
Yeah, I think if you watch any level of football, right, and generally, obviously, lower levels of football, you don't get that quality of defending you get from a Premier League team. But if it's looking like there's a few bodies in the way, you might create half a yard and have a dig. You know, if you've read anything about football this season, that Forest are conceding a lot of goals from outside the area. You know that we scored from it fell to Young nicely. To be fair, what a great finish, right? But you know that's happening. At least have a go at goal. I mean, I just think the one thing that sums up at the moment is I just don't think we're brave on the ball. I don't care what level of football you're playing. You've got to try and commit a player to get past them to create space. How often did we do that? There was one situation I remember with Coutinho, second half, we were right where we were sat, where he nicked it, he did a step over and then nicked it for the player's legs and then tried to basically smash the ball and it went miles over the bar. That was the only time I can remember creating it. Ramsey ran through, didn't he? And squared it rather than having a shot at goal when he seemed from our angle like he was through on goal. I haven't watched it back yet. I just think we're not brave enough on the ball. And I just think
if you don't shoot, you don't score. The one moment of brilliance in the game was almost like Ashley Young's thought, fuck this, I just need to hit it. And it flies in the back of the net from 25 yards. And what a goal it was. But what state have we got into where we're relying on, and even Gerrard himself is calling it, that we are looking at a 37-year-old as our example and our best player on the pitch?
Yeah.
What depths have we sunk to?
Yeah, it's, mate, I'll tell you what it is for me right now. We are a piece of piss to play against for any team. And it's another game last night, and let's go back to Bournemouth, right? Start of the season. Let's look at West Ham, where I can't really think of many great chances were created. Everton, other than the 2 goals, I can't think of anything else. Southampton, I mean, half chances. Watkins had a half chance. It was quite a high ball, a header, and to be fair, it would have had to be a fantastic header. It would have had to loop it in the opposite corner to get it in from there. What other chances did we have? I can't. This is an entire game against. Let's be clear about this now. A very, very, very poor team. I like Forest. It was great. My first trip to the City Ground, and I've always wanted to go there. I remember Cloughie when I was a kid, and not quite back as the European Cup days, but I remember what a great club Forest were. Great to have them back in the Premier League. We're playing the team at the bottom of the league that have lost 5 on the spin, and I can't think of a clear-cut chance we had in the game. Young's wasn't a clear-cut chance. It was a snapshot that went in. How is this possible? How is this possible again? We cannot create any chances. Honestly, it blows my mind. And it's happening over and over and over again. And we'll probably put a reasonable performance against Chelsea. Team cut us a bit more. But to be fair, you wouldn't be surprised if we lost to Chelsea. Maybe we get a draw. Maybe we sneak a win. But that's not the problem is playing against Chelsea. The problem is playing against these teams. All the rest of the teams in the Premier League.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree. So obviously that was a moment of sort of brief joy. We will get to the comments. They're all coming in. We're gonna do. I've got a little section on what the players were like, who's good, and we'll go through the stats as well. So I will go through all of your comments. Don't worry about that. So please keep coming in. Please give us a like on the video as well. The support has been phenomenal. We are literally 4 subscribers away from 400. So if you haven't yet subscribed and you're watching, please click that subscribe button. Help us hit that 400 mark today. That would be amazing. But yeah, the first half, you think, right, we're back to 1-1. I think Watkins had a goal disallowed. Again, I'm not seeing it back to see whether I think he was clearly offside, but I'm not seeing it back. And then we've kind of had a bit of a go second half. But after that, can we really think of anything that happened in that second half? Like,
No.
it just seemed to me that the goalkeeper, Martinez, would get it, try and roll it out really quickly to one of our players to run forward with it. They would get sort of halfway between the halfway line and our penalty box, so in our own half still, then just stop and we'd go back to walking football.
Yeah,
And that was
right,
about it.
mate. Absolutely right. Boring. Boring is the word I've been used a lot. But I tell you what else, it's slow. And Premier League football should be quick. It should be fast. I mean, they're trying to play this tiki-taka football, but it doesn't seem like there's any pace to go with it. Bailey's the option, isn't he? Bailey's the option for pace. What does Bailey do? It's about as effective as an empty packet of crisps. Like, it's just. I look at the players we've got right now, and there needs to be. And I can't believe I'm saying this after all of the money we've spent in the last couple of years. We've spent it on players that aren't good enough. And I think back to some of the players we've got now, and it's put up in the pod, and sorry, on the pod in the past, but I'll bring it up again. There's players in that team that have never played for a team that's ever finished in the top 10 in the Premier League. And at what point have we got to start to look at it and think, whether it's Watkins, whether it's Cash, whether it's McGinn, whether it's Konza, whoever it might be, are they good enough for this team if we've got aspirations to push on? The reality is, I don't think they are.
Well, you segue really nicely into my next point: is, are the players actually good enough? And I'll get into some of the comments here. Some really good comments coming in. So, Aaron, look, mate, you are a fountain of wisdom, absolute fountain of wisdom, and Coutinho basically is a waste man. I cannot disagree with you there. Other than that one little moment that he produced in the second half, totally anonymous. Kev didn't do anything. Tiwan, I can see why Gerrard doesn't want to start Buendia often, even though he plays with urgency. He is all over the pitch and out of position, getting into messes here and there on the pitch, and she was livid. I agree with that. I really do. Like, I think we get kidded sometimes as Villa fans or as football fans in general of players who run about a lot.
Yep.
Players who run about a lot, they
McGinn's
take space from other players.
McGinn's like that. It's like headless chicken. It works at a certain standard of football. I've got a bit of a solution for Buendia while we're on Buendia, actually. It feels like Buendia only ever plays well when he comes on as sub. So why don't we? You've got 5 subs options. Why don't you start him on the bench, bring him on after 2 minutes?
Yeah, he gets that anger inside him that he's not starting, and then you just go, all right, Emmy, come on then.
It's just, it's so true, mate. We clamour for these players. It was the same before Bailey was in the team. Give Bailey a run, and then look. At some point, a broken clock is going to be right. At some point, a player is going to score a goal, or have. I don't want to say moment of magic because I think I'll punch myself in the face if I hear that phrase again. But
Mark said it there, having to rely on a moment of magic from Ashley Young. Yeah,
moment of magic. How about moment of just some regular quality would be nice rather than just magic. But if you look at it, like, it's just slow, isn't it? It's slow. Nothing's happening. You think running around is the answer. Well, I expect them to run around. That's what they're paid for. Just devoid of quality.
Yeah. I think this moment of magic is taking its place in the comments as well. AJ's waiting for a moment of magic from our owners. Gary Howler, if it's magic we're waiting for, we should hire Paul Daniels. Tiwan, if you look at the words tactics book of football, a moment of magic is not one of the tactics listed. I think there's that meme going around, isn't it, of Steve Bruce sort of merged with Steven Gerrard, and it's
Yeah.
difficult to see. It's difficult to see that like not bearing true, isn't it?
Well, we've made the point about Dean Smith. Like, would Steve Bruce do any worse with his team? I mean,
Well,
let's not even think about that.
no, but we've allegedly got one of the most decorated coaches in Neil Critchley. Like, he's got this award that, if we accept that Steven Gerrard doesn't do a great deal of the coaching and is there to manage, which he doesn't seem to be doing an amazing job with at the moment, although the players do seem to be still playing for him. But if we've meant to have this coach who's got one of the only, I think, 10 coaches in the world of football have got this award, then I'm not seeing anything that is justifying his hefty salary.
No, absolutely not. And I think this is a combination of things. By the way, it's easy to put all the blame at Gerrard's door. A lot of it is at his door, and it's time for a change, in my opinion. But I also think, and by the way, I think we have got some players that should be doing better under a better coach, and I think that would solve that. But I also think there are some players that are not good enough, and I think a combination of those 2 points. We do have good players, but which players have consistently in that team done it at the upper echelons of the Premier League? And you're not going to say that many of them have.
Yeah.
I mean, Dean has had some good times at Everton. Ings has had some good spells, but he's not as prolific as everyone thinks he is. But he has had some good seasons, and not that long ago he scored 20 goals, didn't he? I can't think of anyone else really who's done it. Obviously, Coutinho, but is he a busted flush now? Is it the players around him?
It's certainly looking that way. But I do think that big target man striker would add so much to our game. Obviously, a player that is really divided. No, not dividing opinion. He's not dividing opinion at all. But he's coming in for a lot of criticism at the moment. Doesn't seem to have any confidence. Some of the passes that he was playing on last night. Some of the balls that were bouncing off him, players seemed to be trying to get him into positions to score, but he just wasn't looking like he was even, that he looks like not even half a yard short. He's looking like 2 yards short at the moment. He's Ollie Watkins. Comments coming in around him as well. T1 says, is Watkins even a threat to defenders anymore?
No, I don't think he is. I don't think his touch is good enough. I think he's really a one-trick pony. He might sometimes do a step over and try and move inside. You don't ever really see him create many chances for himself. I don't think he's a particularly good header of the ball, so he's not really threatening the air massively. I think it's a great point. What does he do? I think he works hard and he can get up for it against better teams in terms of being physical, but I don't know what threat he brings to the team now. I can't see how. I understand from a physicality perspective why he still persists with him, because he's good at that kind of role. I remember Dean Smith, made the point, didn't he? Thought he was the best running workhorse centre forward in the Premier League. He used to say about him, didn't he? But has he been found out a little bit now? Is that sense of when he first came was a bit of an unknown quantity, and he had a bit of success. Now, I don't think he's getting a sniff, and the thing is as well, I don't know in that formation, Ings would make no difference really.
No.
And I don't think even Archer in that formation would make much difference.
No, I mean, we saw a 10-minute cameo from him, and he did add some much needed pace, but a little bit late for him. Watkins was there was times when he was through, but he was like kind of tripping over the ball. But for me, he'd want it like Dean Smith used to say, like, there's never a player that works harder on the pitch, and there's never a player that works harder off the pitch on his game. But I'm not seeing any of the improvements. Like, you look at the Premier League after your first season, the next season, you've got to keep changing your game. You've got to keep updating your game. And I'm not seeing any improvement in him as a player, like what he's doing outside of the normal training. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing a better touch. We've always said his touch isn't fantastic. I'm not seeing any improvements there. His finishing, I'm not seeing any improvements there. Like, what is he doing around his? Because when they're in the normal team training, they're just topping up. They're just doing fitness. They're doing a bit of shape work. They're doing this and that. Right, fair enough. Okay. it's what he has to do outside of that. How many times is he practicing one-on-ones? How many times is he practicing controlling the ball under pressure? Like getting one of the youth players to kind of bang balls into him so he can control it. Like, I'm not seeing any improvements in that.
No, I've seen a few highlight reels they've put on, Twitter and Instagram of him.
It takes 20 seconds to do that.
Of course, it does bang in a few in the top corner, but when it comes to the actual game time, yeah. But I do think it's more than just our strikers. But then if we're not creating stuff, is it the striker runs? Is it possession? Is it sometimes I think the other issue is the speed of it getting. How many times do we get the ball, pass it across the back four?
You're letting 10 players get behind the ball again.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that. And then if they're getting behind the ball, you've then got to try and, like you were saying last night, where is someone just trying to beat someone? Where is someone just trying to drop the shoulder or put a step over in? It was all like trying like tiny little 1-2s and stuff. And quite frankly, most of our players aren't good enough to play them.
Yeah, do you know what I also think as well? No, most of our players aren't strong enough, physical enough. Buendia, Coutinho, Ramsey, I think gets his foot in, but still don't think he's the strongest. McGinn, there's a lot of our players that are not physical enough. Louise, and they'll get knocked off the ball too easy.
Yeah, he does my head in, Louise, man. He's playing like we're winning 4-0.
Yeah,
he's just those casual passes and that, and it's like there's no. He's the one who sets the tone. That position, that central defensive midfielder position, that's the one who sets the tone. He's the one who should be fizzing the ball into the forwards or like missing the defender out to then get it out to the wide man quickly. Not just, I'll just play the easy pass to the player at the back, and then I'll get it back, and then I'll just knock it into McGinn, and then I'll get it back. It's just so lackadaisical from Louise, and that's what sets the tone. It's so frustrating. Few stats. We'll get into a few stats. And yeah, I think credit to Mark for doing these stats for us. But I think you'll see here, it just speaks volumes for what's happening at the minute. So our XG in terms of attacking stats. I mean, look at all the 18th and 19th in there. Shot creating actions 105, which is 16th. Goal creating actions 7, which is 19th in the league. Goals per shot 0.07, 18th in the league. Shots on target 28, 16th in the league. XG 8.74, 18th in the league. Goals 7. Crosses we've put in though is 134, which is 4th in the league. What are we doing?
Well, I think these stats say all you need to know. And with pretty much a quarter of the season gone, pretty much a quarter of the season, isn't it? 9 games, is it now? So maybe just about. Anyone that says we are not currently in a relegation fight, I think needs to now start to rethink that, because those stats are a team that are in a relegation fight unless something changes. And I think we might go back to his point. I wanted to just sort of make this now. Is we talk about the team being brave, but I don't think the manager's brave. And I think that does permeate through the players. I think it's in one of the comments from Rachel. Sort of pop that up now, but
yeah,
I think it's a really valid point. The players have no confidence and are scared to try. I absolutely agree, Rachel. I think it comes from the top. I think he's got to be braver with his formations, braver with his team selection. If there was ever a game to bring Watkins off with 30 minutes to go and change it like that, that was the game. Put Morgan Sanson on for McGinn. Try, he's runs with the ball. He's got a bit of impetus and energy. Try something different. Why not? I know we haven't got loads of options, but I just think that when something's clearly not working over and over again, do something else.
Well, the other thing is he only made 3 subs yesterday. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah.
And he has 3 occasions to make substitutions, and he did 1 at a time. Why didn't he bring Archer on at the same time as he brought Dendoncker on? Because then that would have opened up another occasion to make another sub later on.
It's almost like he's trying to get sacked, because I think with about 10 minutes to go, he brought on Dendoncker, and then literally a couple of minutes later he brought on Archer, didn't he? Now, what if we'd have had an injury to Mings or Konza, and we've reused all our subs, and then Forest score a late goal? It's like he's doing it on purpose. I don't get it. But why not? Why not try? I mean, there wasn't loads of options on the bench. Why not try Sanson as the only other player that might be slight attacking? For McGinn, what are you losing by doing that? I don't see what you're doing. What are you losing by playing two at the top? Because this formation we play does not work. We've actually played pretty good. Gerrard even said it himself. We've played pretty good with two at the top in a few of the games. I think we did it against Leeds, didn't we? I think we did it against Southampton, certainly in that 4-0 win. Try something different. You're doing the same thing over and over again. We don't look like we're going to score. We get in good positions, put the ball in the box, gets headed away. It's a waste of time.
Absolutely. Quick look at the defensive statistics, and this is a little more positive. More sort of third, sixth, seventh. So our actual XG against is 10.67, which is sixth. Goals conceded 11, which is eighth. Shots against 99, which is seventh, which is not great still. Tackles 111, which is second. Tackles 174, which is third. So again, not too bad there. We're doing more pressures, getting more success with them, but it's all well and good, this, isn't it? It's all well and good, like saying that they're working for you, and they are working hard, but when the quality is just not there, and there's nothing beyond it, because they're probably tackling so much because their first touch is so bad that it's the second touch is a tackle.
Yeah, and also again, you're playing.
And who were we playing against? Yeah,
Nottingham Forest, who have lost 5 in a row, devoid of confidence. Like, what? You could ask for an easier game to play against someone. I honestly, I mean, those stats say a lot. We are a fairly solid unit. Actually, we don't concede loads of goals. We have the ball a lot. We do not do anything with it. They're even more damning for me because, you know, the fact of the matter is that teams are just quite happy to give us the ball, really.
Yeah, and also the defenders can turn around and say, "Look, we're doing our job. Like, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing, Ollie? What are you doing, Philippe? Like, what are you doing, Emmy? All the fans are telling us that you're the best player. You need to play every week. Well, what are you doing?"
Yeah, but also the defenders, I don't think the quality coming forward from them is always good as well. I mean, their job is to kick the ball out of the net. I get that, and that's the most important thing. But sometimes it seems to take an age to get forward. An age. I know that Carlos potentially was going to be a bit more of a progressive centre half to create attacks, but then what are your options? If you're pinging a high ball, well, it needs to be perfect because there's no height on Buendia or Coutinho. So you know, I just think that we're slow. It's just insipid. There's no urgency to our play. It's boring. I mean, I was bored last night. Bored watching this team. You know, thinking we're not gonna win this game. We had a little bit of a flurry, didn't we? Start the second half.
Yeah, I'd say 10 minutes second half. It was we put them under a little bit. Then it was a bit end to end for the next 5 minutes, and then it just went to like, we don't want to lose this game either. And then it just went into just a scrap and fouls again. So I don't think I really need to ask this question. And there's plenty of comments coming in, but I will ask. I'll go through some of the comments first. Right, Alan Evans watching. Thanks very much for watching. Players regressing under this clown. Out now before it gets any worse. Poch or Dyche would keep us up. Gary, Noble will save our season as Gerrard's destroying everyone's confidence. Ross, thanks for watching, mate. Gerrard still ring the manager at this point is just an embarrassment. Play the correct formation would be a good start. Yeah, so the general consensus is I think there's lots more comments, you know, basically saying what I'm going to ask now, and basically it's got to be Gerrard out, hasn't it? You know, I've been one to sort of give him time. I've been one to say, you know, we've actually made the comment today that, you know, the players aren't. Are we trying to polish a turd, basically? You know, asking for these players to be better than what they are, but when you've been coming out with the bullish statements at the start of the season with we should be finishing 8th. We should at least be top 10, no doubt about it. And then you're serving up this
just
dirge of football.
If you said to any manager,
you've got to take the hit.
Yeah, if you said to any manager or any football fan, Premier League, you've got ambitions for top 10. Like, again, we've said it many times. They come out and said we want to finish top 10 in the Premier League. Well, push for Europe. Okay, Villa, we're going to give you we're going to rub the genie lamp and give you a couple of wishes. You're going to get Bournemouth, a newly promoted team, on the first game of the season. Then Everton, who were bad when we played them. You're going to get Palace away, certainly a game you could get a result from. West Ham at home, who were bottom of the league when we played them. Then Arsenal, then Man City, find a couple of tricky games. Then you're going to play Southampton, Leeds and Nottingham Forest. I mean, you would take that all day long, and we're nowhere. I'll be interested to see, guys, in the comments. Let us know if you think you'd keep Gerrard in or out. Tell us your thoughts. I'll be interested if anyone's like thinking they want to give him a bit more time. I'll be interested to see what people say, but because I can't believe anybody would still believe there's any hope there now with what we're seeing.
No, I mean, I was willing it to work. I thought he's the guy who was going to make us more ruthless, turn us, like, the players into sort of more hard, like, that kind of attitude that he's got to turn us into winners, because I did think we were a bit too nice. But it just hasn't worked, and I was one who really wanted to succeed, and I thought he was going to be the next big thing, but just the way he's even standing on the sideline, not really saying anything, not really getting involved. Like, in some of his press conferences and stuff, he's not calling on the fans to kind of get behind the team. He's not trying to get the fans on side. Like you say, it's almost like he's just waiting. He's just waiting to get sacked.
Yeah,
and we're delaying the inevitable because, sorry, Kev, we've got Chelsea coming up next. We've got Fulham away. After that, we're not going to beat them. We've got Brentford at home, maybe, and then we've got Newcastle away, which there's absolutely zero chance we're winning that game. So what we're basically talking about is one win, I reckon, out of the next 4 games. He can't survive that. So we're just delaying the inevitable at the moment.
Yeah, mate, he just looks like he's not bothered. He just looks like he's not bothered. I mean, I know that, again, I've seen him in an interview say he's not going to be like shouting and screaming from the sidelines. I'd like to see a bit of passion. I'd like to see him trying to fire the players up. The only leader we've got is Mings. And I know he was at fault for the goal, but I thought he was great again. And, you can't stop you're not going to play every game and the striker not score a goal at some point. But I mean, if you concede 1 goal and you should be scoring more than 1 goal against Nottingham Forest, and I wouldn't want that to kind of take the edge off, actually, because I do think, I've got to say this, we've been critical in the past. I think Mings is our standout player at the moment. I think he's our standout player in terms of how he's leading the team. He went over to the fans at the end. I think he's pretty much the only one that did, wasn't he? I think we might. Yeah. We left obviously just after the final whistle. Heard a few boos and a few choruses of Gerrard out, but yeah, like Gerrard, I don't think he seems like he's fighting for it, and he's also putting a fair bit of blame on the players.
Yeah.
It has to. I
mean, I don't necessarily like think that's a massively bad thing, because some of the players are like performing terribly. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but he seems to lack any sort of self-awareness of what he needs to do himself. He just keeps saying, well, we'll just keep working harder. But what are you going to do? Like, what is it that you're going to do? Like, he's hinted he's going to make changes for the next game, but why is he not making any changes during the game? Like, why didn't he change the formation yesterday? Why didn't he go like 2 up top, like you say? Why didn't he go 3 at the back, or 3-4-3 or something like that? Like, why can't he do that during the game against Nottingham Forest? Like you say, bottom of the table. It was almost like he got to that point 20 minutes from the end. He just thought, I'll shove a few strikers on, see if that works, like the old Steve Bruce tactic, and just we'll keep it tight at the back still, because we can't really lose this game. And that's what really annoyed me.
I miss Dean Smith. And it was his time. His time was up. It was sad. But I miss him. I miss feeling that love. I mean, I've still got love for Villa, of course, but that love, that how good we felt about the club at the time, and we felt like that we were going to, and there was a direction. And yeah, it dropped off, and we had a bad end to the season and a bad start to the season, and he lost his job. But I feel that feeling people had for Villa, when people were rooting for us, even a lot of diehard Villa fans I'm seeing, I've had enough. I've had enough.
Yeah. It has unfortunately got that feeling of like the Lambert, the McLeish, and the Bruce days where it kind of sucks the life out of us. And unfortunately, like you said before, if you get a good performance against Chelsea, maybe we get a win. 2 defeats around the corner. We know that. So it is unfortunately, I think, time to go. We'll do another show where we'll talk about potentials coming in. I know there's 1 or 2 names in the fold: Thomas Frank, Emery, 1 or 2 others, but I don't know. I think they'll probably be doing. They'd be very silly if they weren't sounding out managers right now. So they'd be very, very silly if they weren't doing that. But yeah, we'll do another show on that coming up. But yeah, obviously Chelsea coming up on Sunday. We'll do a preview. It says there's going to be changes made, Kev. I mean,
that's the way, don't
what do you?
I think he's got to. I mean, he may as well go down fighting if he's going to go down. I'm taking my kids to the Chelsea game, and I'm not looking forward to it. I can't believe I'm saying I'm not looking forward to going down the mighty Villa. The wonderful Villa Park. What a ground, loved by so many people, because I just don't know what I'm going to see. I'm actually half expecting to see a slightly better performance, because I think that Chelsea will come out as a bit more. But I don't know. I've got no hope at all for that game. I think it was a massive surprise playing Man City. And I still think as well, on hindsight, with that Man City game, they missed a lot of chances early on in that game.
Yeah.
A lot of chances.
Yeah. It was a bit like, when we drew 0-0 when that season we went down. And that was like one of where they missed about 50 chances.
Yeah.
And it would just happen that they couldn't score. It was probably a bit like that.
It was a freak game. Haaland only got 1 goal. That says all you need to know.
Yeah.
And then we kind of grew it, got into it a little bit and got a goal and potentially could have won it. But that is actually such an anomaly. You'd be expecting to have a good performance like that against a Bournemouth or a West Ham at the time where they were, or a Nottingham Forest or a Leeds, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah. Mate, I think we probably said enough, to be honest. Like I say, we'll be back during the week. Let's hire Carla Ward. We actually saw her at the game last night, and I think she'd do a pretty good job. So. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there, mate. We'll be back over the next coming days with some of our shorter shows, either mornings or evenings. Just rounding up the news, talking probably about managerial rumours, anything else that's going on with the training at the training ground, anything else that's going on with the club. So we'll be back with that. We'll probably be back Friday or Saturday with our match preview for Chelsea. Hopefully we get a little bit more positivity as the game approaches. But at the moment, it's very, very difficult to remain positive and very, very difficult to remain, thinking anything good about this club at the moment, other than the fact that we look like we're going to be in another relegation battle, Kev.
Yeah, absolutely. If something doesn't change soon, and I think that the club, there's all rumours of like we have got to wait for a certain time period to get a certain manager, and who knows whether that's the case. But I just want to say, listen, of all the things, where we are at the club, the comments are great. Thanks to everyone who gets involved. Channel, we really appreciate it, because it can't be much. Well, I hope you all appreciate the chat, and I think we try and be as candid as we can be. But Villa have got such love out there, such a lot of fans. We're frustrating the fans. Look at the comments you guys are all making right now. The fans are frustrated. Weirdly, it's normally the home fans that turn first, and the away fans are normally ones that are a bit more loyal. And the away fans turn. Some of them turned last night. And once that happens, the writing is on the wall. A Chelsea goal early on in that game on Saturday, and I just think they need to make a strong decision. If you've got aspirations, take this club forward. It was a project we tried. It didn't work. It's not working. There are zero signs of life. Zero signs of life. with Aston Villa. I can't see any positives at all. So there's only one solution, which is change the manager and try something else.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one thing that remains is we'll always support them. And yeah, like I say, guys, thank you for so many comments. Thank you for all your support. We're so close to 400. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Please give the video a like. We've had so many watching tonight. It's brilliant. If you all give it a like, I think we could get up to that 50 likes mark. So that would be phenomenal. And yeah, one thing, as always, to remember is we all follow the Villa. Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.